The Diddy trial has a major juror issue. Juror number 6 has had inconsistencies answering questions on where he actually lives. The government suddenly wants juror number 6 removed, and Brian Steele is accusing the government of knowing about this the entire time and waiting to see if he's favoring the defense or not, and then getting rid of him once they notice he did. Before the jury being brought in, Combs' lawyer says the government's proposed witness for today does not know how the guns were moved and piled in the security room. He has no personal knowledge. Judge says he's not an expert witness, he is a fact witness. Government says when he was at the premises, the guns were found in the security room, they can cross-examine. There's nothing prejudicial. Judge says it's not about prejudice. Mr. Agnifilo is going to object to every statement. That's the issue. I don't want the jurors to see me objecting every time to the guns. There's nothing illegal about these guns. Mr. Combs says professional security, guns were in the safe. This witness is prejudicial. I don't care they don't know where the Astroglide is. But these are guns. Let them put on the agent who actually found the guns. This witness should not testify. This is how every law enforcement search is done. The property is secured before the search begins. Mr. Agnifilo, the defense would stipulate that the guns were there, right? You're asking for the first time. I know the property well. I've been there many times. The security room has been locked. Can we find the person who did this? Government says, may I step up? This is how HSI does searches. They have a team that goes in to make the area safe. They're not the experts in collecting evidence. Ms. Foster can ask about that. I'm not seeing how the guns are relevant. If they were locked up, guns are a very divisive issue. The witness can be asked about all this. This is how it will proceed. I had no idea. He had no idea where the guns were found. I want to know where the guns were found. I don't want to play Russian roulette with guns. That is how Russian roulette is played, by the way. This is pretty much what any defense lawyer does in trials. They don't want any type of guns being connected to their client in any way. This juror is not a professional speaker. These were honest answers. I'm hesitant to raise this issue again and lead the juror to think we think he did something wrong. The juror's answers are innocuous. We were concerned about his residency. Residency was resolved. This jury is diligent. Let's treat them with respect. There's no issue with the qualification to serve. This juror met the qualification at the time. It is vague enough that the answers can be reconciled. Hold on. So juror number 6, I think, lied about where he lives or something, or he moved maybe. The juror has said multiple things. They cannot all be true. Additional steps should be taken to protect the record. Sounds like the government doesn't want this juror anymore. My preferences would be to run to the ground and hear from the juror. I expect we will hear a perfectly reasonable explanation. Judge says, but let me say, the allegation in court that the government is engaging in bias, there's no basis for that statement. Not in jury selection nor what occurred in the roving room. We are concerned if we bring the juror back in for questioning, it might impact behavior during deliberations. We don't have to get into this right now. Mr. Combs, are you waiving the issue? Indicates yes. The question was, where do you live? And answering saying Bronx was accurate. One might move, but it wouldn't raise the level of removal of a juror. Given where we are now, as government's position, we should get to the bottom of the issue. We have at least one question. Does this juror's employer have a residency requirement? That might explain the answer. This would be harassing the juror to inquire about the employer. I don't understand why the defense is so adverse to asking this question. I wasn't present when this juror was questioned in the rooming room. If we or I question him, let's do it at the end of the day. Let's bring the jury in, then the witness. Ms. Foster is telling the witness about the new questions. Okay, break. Jesus, drama with this juror, man. Government calls Special Agent Andre Lamont. Do you execute search warrants? Yes. 50 or 60 so far. Did you search 200 South Mapleton Drive in LA? Yes. Is a large property. I went through the objects that we seized, then entered them into our case management system. How many manila envelopes were there in the nightstand? 6. What was written on them? K. What does K mean? I'm guessing ketamine. Testing determined it was ketamine in the envelope. Is there a safe in this closet? Yes, it's gray. What was in the safe? Passport for Sean Combs and a plastic bag with substances in it. Testing found the brown pebbles were MDMA. What's in this bag? J&J baby oil, Astroglide, and some lingerie. How many bottles of baby oil did you find? 200. How many bottles of Astroglide did you find in 200 South Mapleton? 900. Jesus, man. When would anyone ever need that much shit? Let's turn to the firearms found in the residence. What are these? A Ruger, Glock pistol, some AR-15. What's this? Smith & Wesson rifle on the chair. There's a 5.11 bag. What's this? Just a bag. Drum magazine, large capacity. This one is a 60 round. It had 59 rounds of green tip ammunition in it. What does green tip ammunition do? It's designed to pierce body armor. Do any of the firearms not have serial numbers? One did not. This one. How are the serial numbers eliminated? Sand it off with a machine. Not like it was done with a screwdriver. No further questions. All right, now cross. I can imagine defense is going to point out these are securities weapons and some of them were legal, I think, and separate them from their client. You're aware that Mr. Combs has security, right? Yes. And every gun and piece of ammo was recovered from a security office, right? Yes. And there were no guns in the kid's bedroom? None. Was the security office door locked? Not when I got in there. But before, isn't it important? Did it have a lock? It had a knob lock. I don't know. You had no reason to think the safe was open before you got there, no? We brought a locksmith, but I didn't see him touch that. We're in Manhattan. We don't know a lot about guns. Sorry. Withdrawn. This was a gun safe? Designed for that. Why not photo of opening it? SRT goes in first, so because of this protocol, we don't have any photographs. So you use body cam? No. In your human trafficking work, have you ever dealt with Astroglide before? Only in this case. Okay. Chuckles. No comments, please. So the baby oil was in the garage. It was the Astroglide in the garage. You're from LA? Yes. Enjoy. No further questions. No redirect. Jonathan Perez is on the stand to invoke his Fifth Amendment. Do you intend to assert the right as explained? Yes. I will enter the order of immunity. My colleagues tell me Mr. Combs has been nodding during his cross. Please instruct him. How is he still allowed to be nodding? The judge has warned him like twice now to stop nodding. Brian Steele, it was my information that Mr. Combs has done nothing inappropriate. All right, very good. We had an exchange about this a few days ago. There's going to be some amount of reaction to testimony that is given. It is impossible to police all of it. 11:28 a.m. Kanye West has just arrived in the courthouse. What? Kanye would show up to this, bro. Ran down to the lobby. Marshals reminded on photos, but Ye came in. White pants and jacket, security with him. One forgot the token they gave you to pick up your phone when you leave. Government calls Jonathan Perez. Fort Lauderdale. Was your work personal assistant to Sean Combs? When? December 21 to September 24. How did you learn of the job? KK reached out to me. Christina Coram. I'd interview with her for the same job. What was your job? Making sure you had material for meetings, buying gifts. Where do you work? LA and Miami. Did KK and Mr. Combs appear to be personal friends too? It would depend on the day. And you, Mr. Combs? First 6 months, a little interaction. It was KK who'd give me instructions. Then for Miss Combs, yes. When were you employed by Miss Combs? Were you aware of the term King Knight? Yes, Miss Combs going to a hotel to have private time with a female. Let me show you a photo under seal. I refer to her as Jane. Yes, she was a guest. Did you include honey in your setups for King Knights? Yes. Why? Honey, increase a man's libido. What lights would you bring? Red, but they could change colors. Would you make a purchase at sex stores? Yes. Would staff do cleanup after King Nights? Yes, I did. It was in disarray, sheets and towels and oils. We would go to collect everything. After the King Night. A meal and a drip. Mr. Perez, were you subpoenaed and do you have an immunity agreement? Yes. Let me show you this. What is this? Mr. Combs' Gucci pouch. What was under the Gucci pouch? Drugs and money. Rob says we located his Gucci pouch in his bathroom. What do you say? I texted there was no residue and I didn't steal any Addy. LOL. Meaning what? Adderall? As part of your employment, did you have any role in obtaining drugs? A handful of times I'd purchased or grabbed them for someone outside. Who were you getting drugs for? Mr. Combs. Which drugs? Cocaine, Xanax, and Molly. How did you pay for the drugs? Cash. Where did you get the cash? Security or the Gucci pouch? Who in security? Fahim? What did your text here say? I texted Fa, I need 700 for Guido for drugs. And this text, I texted I'm still waiting for funds from TriStar. Mr. Combs' business managers. Who do you interact with at TriStar? Did you get a FaceTime from Mr. Combs from Jane's house? Yes. I dropped him at Jane's house with his supplies and he called me a couple hours later. How did Mr. Combs appear in FaceTime? Angry and annoyed. Could you see Jane's face? No, she was turned away. What did Mr. Combs ask? For me to ask if there had been another female on a trip when we had been on. I said no. Had there been? No. How'd you react during the FaceTime? Pretty normal, I thought. What'd you do? I told Fahim and KK that Mr. Combs was arguing with his guest and that I was going to pick him up. What is this? Message between me, Fahim, and Mr. Combs, June 20th, 24. I wrote, need cash for this guest ASAP. Why'd you leave working for Mr. Combs to avoid a situation like this? Bro's like, I didn't want to work for this fucker anymore. Got me testifying at trials and shit. How'd you feel about Mr. Combs? Great. The same way as when I worked there. No further questions. All right, Brian Steele up for cross. I love when Brian Steele is up for cross, man. Mr. Combs is a motivator. Yes, he is. Have you seen Mr. Combs cry? Let me show you something. Give me 1 second. I can't remember if he was crying, but this does remind me that he was upset. Look again. It does not refresh. Okay, you said there was a lot going on. Do you remember the March searches? Yes. You saw the news? Yes. Have you been in the bedroom at 2-Star? Yes. Did you ever see any guns there? No. Did you ever see him with any firearms? Never. I only saw security with him. Because he's a man of note, right? Yes. He's a man respected in many fields. Objection. You have worked with other celebrities? Yes. And many of them have security, right? They do. You mentioned Jane. She was nice to you? Yes. You called King Knight's personal time, right? Mr. Combs works long hours, right? Yes. Yes. Because you worked out of his home, sometimes businesses and personal got mixed, right? Correct. Setting up King's Night, was that business or personal? Personal. And buying drugs, I'm not saying you did it often. That was personal too, right? Right. After buying lingerie for Jane, personal, personal. Oh man, here we go. Steele's going at the throat here. Did Jane always appear to be a willing participant in the King's Nights? Objection overruled. Yes, always. Small amount of drugs, personal use. Objection. That's sustained. Can you estimate percentages of your work business and personal? I'd say personal was 1%. Mr. Combs needed help connecting to Bluetooth? Yes. He was not very high tech. He was not. Mr. Combs was working on an album very hard, right? Yes. You said KK and Mr. Combs were close, right? Yes. But you're not saying it was sexual. I am not. The argument you saw on FaceTime was verbal argument, not physical as you saw it, right? Right. You learned it was about jealousy? Yes. Jane was very jealous. Objection sustained. You are about the same age as Jane? Yes. Was Jane a strong, independent woman? Yes. You made purchases in sex stores with the company credit card? I did. But you don't know if Mr. Combs paid? I don't. And if the room was registered as Combs, there might be cameras outside, right? Right. Here's a photo of Kanye with his white outfit going into court, or leaving court, it looks like. We proposed the exhibit. Objection. Do we need a sidebar? There are a number of objections. We probably do need a sidebar. So Mr. Perez, make sure all the screens are turned off. These are between you and Jane. What did you say here? I was setting up a King's Night. She was telling me what to get. She's cooperating and setting it up. Here, the chef says he's made her avocado toast. She said she asked for hot tea and honey to go with a heart emoji, and you replied, I loved it. She wrote to you, he's looking for smoke, and you wrote, coming. Yes? Yes, Your Honor, I don't have any further questions. Government's back up for redirect. Was getting these things for Jane part of your job? Yes. Did you ever set up King's Island on vacation? No. This item, new hookah, is that personal? Not necessarily. And the baby oil? Personal. Part of your job? Yes. It was TriStar which designed the payments, not you, right? Right. Nothing further, thank you. Now they start talking about the juror issue with this guy not living where he said he lived, I think. The judge says the juror indicated he moved to New Jersey with his girlfriend. It may not be permanent, but has been for the past few weeks. That was initially, there was a long break to confer. When the juror returned to the court, asked, and he said 4 to 5 days a week in New York. In the room, he said the daughter lived in New Jersey. Then he said in the Bronx with his aunt. In Vor Dyer, he said he lived with his girlfriend who lives in New Jersey. These are inconsistencies. There's more in the U.S. letter. The court does not feel further inquiries required. The reason we have an alternate jurors if questions arise. Where there's a question like this, a removal of the juror is required. The juror will be dismissed. He should not return on Monday. Damn. So just because there's a little bit of inconsistencies in the way this juror answered, they're kicking him out. All right. Let me make a record. We didn't want an inquiry because it might have a chilling effect. It is very, very common to have a girlfriend in New Jersey or vice versa. He should have been allowed to explain. These jurors have been attentive. So it sounds like the defense wants this guy in. They've probably seen his reactions, and he's probably had positive reactions for the defense. I'm concerned that the court is equating inconsistencies with lying or hiding something from the court. If you bring him out here, we can come to the soft understanding. He has come here every day. I've been in this court 25 or 30 years. There have been issues with representation of African American and Hispanic jurors in this district. We've taken a step with this jury. Now we're taking a step backwards. Some say black and Hispanic jurors don't answer the call. He did. Anything from the government? I have nothing to add to your honor's ruling. Mr. Johnson is suggesting we make the decision here based on race, but the focus here is the integrity of the proceeding. And Vor Dyer, he said, I live in the Bronx with my fiance and daughter. There's no reason to lie, but try to get onto the jury. Then in the colloquy, he said he had just moved to New Jersey, adding that his daughter had been living in New Jersey. He said all my bills go to the Bronx. It's that he wanted to be on the jury. After the break, he says he actually spends more of his time in the Bronx, which is flat and consistent with what he's previously said. The juror is shading answers to say in the jury. This is why we're moving to an alternate. It's going to be a less diverse jury. That is a fact. Seeing that I've seen this in this district, it's paramount to get a representative jury, particularly in the city. Steele says they bring this up now after weeks of watching the jurors' reactions. Now they go back to Vor Dyer. Everybody knew, but no one did anything. At least bring the juror in to potentially explain. I'll consider all this. This came up in a colloquy this week in an organic way. If the defense knew it before, that's something else. I'm going to thank Mr. Donaldson and Mr. Agnifilo for the issues they raised. If there's a change in my thinking, I'll let you know. For the record, we had no idea, including during Vor Dyer. I think Steele just kind of accused the government of knowing about this the entire time. Judge returns and says we have a sensitive matter to discuss. Everyone must leave the courtroom. Holy shit. The removal of juror number 6. Having seen what Brian Steele argued below, I think the defense should fight this issue more and should not give up. They should file an emergency motion for reconsideration. The prosecutor should submit sworn declarations about when they knew or found out about the jurors' inconsistent statements about residency. If the declarations show the prosecutors knew about it very early and kept quiet about it, but only sought their jurors' removal when his reactions appeared to favor the defense, then the judge shouldn't reward the prosecutor's gamemanship, period. That's what I was saying. I think the government noticed he was like favoring the defense. Knew in the back of their head at some point they could get rid of him if they needed to because of his residency. This case is turning into somewhat of a shit show, but it ends sometime next week or the week after that. Hit subscribe. Love you guys. Peace out.